Hello and welcome to this tutorial video on Ionic. In this video I'll be giving you a brief overview on the different components of Ionic, specifically the scripting languages used in Ionic, HTML, SCSS as well as TypeScript, and we'll be recapping some of the basics of SCSS or rather CSS, and then we'll be getting to know as to why there are 3 TS files in Ionic 4 in comparison to Ionic 3 and what are the benefits, as well as we'll be going through some basic HTML or front-end best practices. So in this video I'll be using Mozilla Firefox and as a web browser and the editor as a Visual Studio Code. I'll obviously do recommend using Mozilla Firefox for any kind of front-end related development, whether it's related to hybrid or progressive web apps or normal websites functionalities. So without further delay, we'll move on to the main portion of the tutorial. As you can see here, this is a basic starter or basic tabs template for our Ionic app, and you can, after installation of Ionic, you can just start a project by writing Ionic start project name followed by the template name. For those of you who do not know about the templates, you can just write Ionic start project name, and then there will be an option for selection of the templates. The templates may consist of tabs, blank, or a full package system end to end to go through them. So in our video we'll be using a tabs template, and as you can see here, the best part of Ionic development or solid development is that any changes made to the code are instantly reflected or get instantly reflected. So as you can see, we'll be changing the title portion, and if we change it to tab 1 plus 2 and press Ctrl S, then there will be some compilation, and if the compilation takes some time depending on your system, and as you can see, the page will get reloaded, so the change is instantly reflected. So as for the basics of CSS, we can say that we can use inline-css here. So you will have to open a style property followed by equals to and inverted commas. We want to change the font size, so using a font size in 15px. Now I will press Ctrl S and wait for the compilation to take place. Usually it depends on the system on how fast the compilation takes place. So you will see the font size as well. Let's change it to something more obvious. Font size is a particular property, as you can see. So as you can see, the font size has changed. So it may happen so that you may do not know about some of the properties or some of the input parameters that a particular property may take. So in case of that, you can just write the property name that which you're thinking to change. Like say I want to change the font family, like I don't like this font default font, so I'll just write font family. Sorry. And as you can see, there will be some options. Such as editors are very much useful in fast front-end development, because it saves time from you. It saves some time from searching as what can be possible, what can be the fonts. So default fonts can be used. So as you can see, there is some fonts. Courier New Franklin Gothic Media. So we'll go Franklin Gothic Media and Control save it. Okay. So the font family should get changed, and it's not obvious, so the change is kind of not obvious, or is it? It may be something just slightly changes. Suppose let's go with something else like courier, one monospace, and the change will definitely get, it should be noticeable at least. And as you can see, the font has changed a lot. So this goes for the style property of a particular HTML tag, or style attribute as we say. Okay. So next part is using the style tag. You can use any kind of style tag. For example, you have to mention a tag name or class name or ID. These three specifications are needed: either class name, tag name, or ID. A particular class, or a unique ID, or a particular table. So as you can see, I want to change the iron table portion. So the iron label is the resources here. So I want to change the color. So color equals to brown, is to brown. And this is using this is by using the style. So as you can see here, the color of the resources has changed in opposed to the black color we had earlier. So you can use this as well. For most cases we'll be using inline-css because it's fast during development. In case of production mode or in case of release mode, it's better if you just place these codes in the SCSS file available here. So another one is to edit the SCSS file. You can just copy paste this value here, and the same will get reflected and the same change will take place. The mainly it is useful in keeping track of the CSS. So as you can see, forgot to save the HTML file. Let's save it there and we'll be able to look at the changes. As you can see, as opposed to writing the code, if you write here, then the result is the same because it's a separate CSS file dedicated here. So SCSS is basically uncompiled CSS. We'll be going into more depth about SCSS in our upcoming videos. For this video, we'll just keep it as a normal CSS file, which is normal uncompiled CSS, which is compiled based on a compiler available in a browser window. Okay. So when we use a dot operator, it's basically a class, and when we use a hash operator, then it's basically an ID. The concept is similar to school, college, classroom. College may have many students. It will obviously have many students, and they a set of those students may belong to a particular class. There can be more than one person for a particular class, but there can be only one ID associated, one unique ID associated to every individual. So here is the so it's the same case. For example, if you want to change a particular class, if you want to change the design, or you want to apply some functionalities to a particular group, then we'll use a class. For that. Or if you want to change a particular a particular feature or a particular tag associated with a particular ID and not affect other tags, then we'll use the ID operator, then use a hash operator. So let's see. So this is a basic matter. So here we'll just place it. So here is a class basic, so we'll just change it to say green, and border equals to solid black on px. Save it, and then we'll apply this class. So it is a basic, and class is basics or basic, no, it's basics, cool, like that. So you can see the color has changed as opposed to iron table portion. This changed, and this is green in color, as well as it has a border around it. Similarly, if I apply the class to every each of one of them, then it will have the same design. Okay, so this ends the basics of CSS. And before moving on to the next video, I'll just mentioning a few details, or some brief details about the 3ts files. One file contains all the modules that are to be used. For example, which modules to be imported, and like which modules we need to navigate, because each page in Ionic is treated as a separate module. In order to use a particular page, you will have to import it. Each page comes bundled up with 5 files: 3 TS files, 1 HTML file, and 1 SCSS file. This file contains all the modules, starting from any kind of modules we need to be imported. We'll explore this soon enough. And then comes a unit testing file, that is .spec.ts. It will come very handy in case of unit testing. We'll explore this further as well. And here it will be the basic functionalities of the particular page. As to so you can see as to how we'll be using this file for different purposes, such as every feature in an app, like starting from registration, login, or to changing on the to changing a name on the fly, or dynamic functionalities in short. So if you have a bit of knowledge on object-oriented programming, then it will be quite useful. Even if you don't have, we'll be going through the basics of each and every file while doing the small project, just to clear things up. So for this video we are ending the tutorial here, and hope you like it. If you have any suggestions, then please drop it in the comments.